It was almost midnight. The highway was quiet, the streetlights reflected like broken stars over the river water below. And that's when you saw her, a young teenager, maybe 16 or 17, standing at the top edge of the old steel bridge, holding on to nothing, just staring down at the dark water below. She was shaking. Her breath was fast, like she was scared of life and scared of death at the same time. Her name was Emily. She wasn't dressed like someone who planned to die. She was wearing a school hoodie. Her backpack was still on her shoulder, shoes still tied like she just walked out of class. But her eyes told the truth. Her eyes were dead tired, like she didn't want tomorrow to ever come again. Cars drove by, but no driver cared. One honked and drove faster, like she was traffic, not a human being. A drunk man passed behind her and didn't even stop. And she whispered to herself, "No one would even notice if I disappear." Her voice sounded like someone whose whole life was ignored. She stepped closer to the edge, her toes almost hanging in the air, and the cold wind pushed her hair back. She closed her eyes, and she thought about every moment that broke her. Her dad leaving, her mom screaming, her classmates laughing behind her back, fake friends, false texts, no one to talk to. She was tired of being invisible. She felt like she was born just to make others comfortable, not to be loved, not to be understood. She didn't cry. She had already cried everything in the bathroom earlier that day. There was nothing left inside her, not even fear. She took one deep breath and whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom." That's when she bent her knees to push off the railing, when suddenly a tiny voice from behind said something that froze her soul. It wasn't a grown woman. It wasn't a police siren. It was just a little girl, maybe 8 years old, with messy hair and unicorn pajamas, standing barefoot on the bridge, holding a pink teddy bear like she escaped her sleep. She asked in the softest, confused child voice, "Why are you hurting yourself? Did somebody hurt you first?" Emily's body went still. She didn't jump. She turned her neck slightly, confused to hear a child at this time of night. The little girl didn't look scared. She looked curious, like she was watching someone draw something wrong. She took one step closer with tiny bare feet and said, "If someone hurt you, you can tell me. I promise I don't tell anybody secrets." Emily blinked. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The little girl just hugged her teddy bear tighter and said, "You know, my mom said when someone wants to end their life, it means they couldn't find someone who listened." Emily's knees felt weak. Her heart started racing again, but in a different way, like something warm suddenly touched her frozen chest. The little girl walked right next to her and said, "I can listen. You can tell me anything." Emily took her foot back from the air and grabbed the cold railing. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear anymore, from shock. No one in her entire life had ever said, "I can listen," to her. Emily whispered, "Where's your mom?" The little girl pointed across the bridge and said, "She's the lady sitting in the wheelchair. She can't come here fast." Emily looked, and her whole life changed again. Emily's heart pounded as she looked across the bridge. There, under the dim orange streetlight, sat a woman in a wheelchair, covered with a blanket. Her face was pale, her hair thin, and her eyes were fixed on Emily the whole time. The little girl waved toward her mom. "See? She's watching us. She can't walk, but she always waits for me to talk to people who look sad. She says sometimes people just need a tiny light to see again." Emily stepped back from the edge completely. Her shoes clanged on the metal beam. The wind felt colder now that she realized what she almost did. She turned to the little girl and whispered, "Why did you come to me? You don't even know me." The child shrugged. "Because your face looked like my mom's before she met me." That line hit Emily like lightning. Her throat tightened. What do you mean?" she asked. The little girl smiled softly. "My mom was going to jump too, right here, but she said God sent me before she could do it." Emily's eyes widened. She looked again at the woman. The woman nodded slowly, tears shining even from that distance. Emily's chest ached. She suddenly felt the weight of her backpack, her memories and her pain, all crashing inside her. The little girl tugged Emily's sleeve. "Come, my mom said people who want to die should never be left alone in the dark." Emily followed. Each step away from the edge felt heavier, but safer. When she finally stood in front of the wheelchair, the woman smiled weakly. "Thank you for not jumping," she said, voice trembling yet full of peace. Emily's lips quivered. "I wasn't supposed to be saved tonight." The woman reached out her fragile hand. "Neither was I, but my daughter changed that. Maybe now it's your turn to find something worth living for." Emily knelt beside her. "You don't understand. I have nothing left." The woman shook her head. "That's not true. You still have time. Time means there's still a door open somewhere." The little girl giggled. "Mom says every broken heart is a door that's just waiting for light to walk in." Emily couldn't help but smile for the first time in months. The woman noticed. "There it is," she whispered, "that tiny smile. Keep that. It's proof your soul isn't gone." Emily sat beside them, tears finally breaking free. "I don't even know your names," she said quietly. "I'm Grace, and this little miracle is Lily." Lily held out her teddy bear. "This is Sparkle. He helps sad people." Emily laughed through tears, hugging the teddy bear. "Thank you, Sparkle," she said softly. For a few minutes, the bridge didn't feel like a grave anymore. It felt like home. The sound of cars above them turned gentle, like lullabies of second chances. Then Grace said, "Emily, I know you think no one sees you, but you're seen. You were seen tonight. That means something." Emily wiped her face. "I don't even know where to go now." Grace looked toward the horizon. "Home doesn't always have to be where you came from. Sometimes it's where you decide to start again." Lily nodded seriously. "Like me, I started my life the day Mom decided not to jump." Emily looked at both of them, then back at the dark river below. "Maybe this bridge isn't where people end. Maybe it's where people begin again." Grace smiled through tears. "Exactly." But just as Emily thought the night had given her peace, a sudden car screech echoed behind them, and someone shouted her name. Emily froze. That voice! How did it know her name? She turned around fast, her breath sharp in her throat. The headlights of a black sedan cut through the mist. The driver door opened, and out stepped a tall man in a gray hoodie. His face was pale from panic. "Emily!" he shouted again, running toward her. She blinked, confused. "Dad?" He stopped a few feet away, chest heaving. His eyes were red, his hands trembling. "Emily, "Oh God, Emily," he whispered, stepping closer but afraid to scare her. Lily hid behind her mother's wheelchair, holding her teddy tight. The air went silent except for the river beneath the bridge. Grace looked between them. "That's your father?" she asked softly. Emily nodded, still shaking. "I thought you were gone. You left months ago. You didn't even call." Her father swallowed hard. "I know. I was ashamed, baby. After your mom died, I couldn't handle it. I broke down. I thought maybe you'd be better off without me. But then I found your note tonight. I drove here as fast as I could." Emily's tears returned, but now they burned. "You read it?" He nodded. "Every word. You said you felt invisible, that no one cared if you were alive. Emily, I care. I always cared. I just didn't know how to show it." The little girl walked up to Emily, holding out Sparkle the teddy bear. "He helps people remember they're loved." Emily crouched and hugged Lily, her voice trembling. "Thank you, Angel." Grace smiled. "She's been that angel for many. You're not the first she saved." Emily looked up at Grace in awe. "You mean she's done this before?" Grace nodded. "Every time we come out at night, she says she feels someone sad nearby. I thought it was just imagination, but tonight proved me wrong." Emily's father slowly stepped forward until he was beside her. "You're safe now," he said gently. "Let's go home." But Emily didn't move. She looked at Grace and Lily again. "You changed everything tonight. I don't know how to thank you." Grace smiled warmly. "Just live, Emily. That's the best thank you can give." Emily hesitated, then hugged both mother and daughter tightly. The little girl laughed softly. "See, Mom? She's shining now." Emily looked down at her father. "Dad, can we start over?" He nodded instantly, tears falling. "Please, I've been waiting for a second chance." As they walked back toward the car, Emily turned one last time toward the bridge railing. The same wind that once tried to pull her down now brushed her hair gently, almost like it was saying goodbye to her old pain. Grace watched them leave and whispered to her daughter, "You did it again, my love." Lily squeezed her mother's hand. "No, Mom, we did it. You saved me once, and now we save others." Grace looked up at the stars. "Then maybe that's why we're still here." The engine started in the distance, headlights fading away. For the first time in years, Emily felt hope, not as a dream, but as something real she could hold. But what she didn't know was that her meeting with Grace and Lily wasn't over. Their paths were about to cross again in a way that would change all their lives forever. A month had passed since that night on the bridge. The sky was brighter now. Emily walked every morning to school again, this time not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Her father had started therapy, got a small job, and they were slowly rebuilding what was lost. Every evening they talked, something they hadn't done in years. He listened, really listened, like he was making up for every missed word. But even as life stitched itself back together, Emily couldn't stop thinking about Grace and Lily, the woman in the wheelchair, and the little girl who saved her life. She'd gone to the bridge several times hoping to see them again. Each time, the river moved silently, but the bridge was empty. Then one morning, as she walked past the park near her school, she saw something that made her stop. On a wooden bench near the pond sat a familiar figure in a wheelchair. Grace! The same blanket, the same calm smile. And beside her on the grass, Lily was feeding breadcrumbs to pigeons. Her breath caught. "Grace?" Grace turned slowly, eyes lighting up. "Emily!" Lily jumped up with excitement. "You came back!" she shouted, running to her and hugging her tight. Emily knelt and hugged her back, tears flooding her eyes again. "I promised I'd live, and I'm keeping that promise." Grace's voice softened. You look different. There's color in your cheeks now. Emily smiled. I've been trying. I'm still scared sometimes, but now I talk to Dad. He's trying too. Grace nodded proudly. That's how healing works. One small step at a time. Emily looked at Lily. You were right, about being the light for someone. Lily grinned. And now you can be someone's light too. Emily laughed softly. Maybe one day. Grace looked at her seriously. Not one day, Emily. Today. Every person you talk to, every time you smile at someone who looks broken, you might be the reason they choose to stay. That's how the chain of saving continues. Emily's eyes shimmered. A chain of saving. I like that. Lily handed her a small folded note. Mom wrote this for you. Emily opened it carefully. The handwriting was gentle, shaky but strong. It read, To the girl who chose to live. Remember, surviving wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of someone else's miracle. Tears streamed down Emily's face. She hugged the note to her chest and whispered, Thank you. Grace smiled softly. Thank you for proving that hope still works. Suddenly, a light drizzle began to fall. Lily twirled under it, laughing, holding her teddy bear up to the sky. Grace chuckled. That's her way of saying the heavens are happy. Emily stood beside them, feeling the cool raindrops touch her skin. The same rain that once felt like loneliness now felt like rebirth. As they said goodbye that day, Grace looked up and said, If you ever feel the dark again, remember that night on the bridge. It wasn't your ending, it was your rescue. Emily nodded, whispering, And you were my angels. Lily giggled, No, silly, you're one now too. The camera would slowly pull back if this were a film. 3 figures under the gentle rain, the river behind them glimmering with light, a bridge far in the background, no longer a place of sorrow, but of miracles.